joining us on the webinar. You may be joining us on LinkedIn. You may be joining us on Facebook. Welcome. My name is Jeff Cohen. I'm on here today with Michael from Cardology. Michael, say hi to everybody.
Hello, peoples on the
internet. I know that the LinkedIn world is probably more familiar with you. You're very vocal on LinkedIn and have a very good following and share a lot of great insights into Amazon management. You've been a client of Seller Labs for a number of years.
Yes.
We've known each other for a while, and we've wanted we have, and I've said this to people several times on these office hours. Like, I bring people on and I'm like, this is somebody who I talk to, and these are normal conversations that I have. All we're doing is now recording them and sharing them with you. Yeah. But like, can you explain, like, you and I just had 5 minutes of prep, which is no different than just you and I catching up on the phone and talking. And like, you know, like this is what, when we get together, when we chat, like, this is what we talk about. Like, we check on each other's family. We then look into, like, you know, what are we seeing going on in the industry and how's it impacting our clients?
Right. When I think what's interesting is every agency, every consultant, every SaaS company is going to have a slightly different focus. And what you're seeing, like all the stuff that you've come out about buyer seller messaging, we've seen some of that. And it's been, we have someone that's puts news into our company Slack channel about, you know, general updates, but it's great seeing you and the Seller Labs team break it down, because we get more insight. You obviously have more connectivity, you know, with people in Amazon. And so you're getting great live answers, and they want you to be successful. So we're able to see that. And then I might come in and say, hey, we're running all these sponsored brand campaigns with video, and they're working really, really well. We're seeing it be successful across clients. Everyone's got these different perspectives. And it just helps when that's why I like community so much as an entrepreneur, but also in Amazon. You're connecting with other people, and they're telling you things, and you're finding out new stuff all the time.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the real point of us, like, developing these office hours in general, was like an opportunity to provide community while people can't physically get together,
right?
To also provide an opportunity to kind of dig into some of these topics in a little deeper manner. But I want to remind everybody, today's office hours are about you guys. And so one of the beauties of office hours, whether you're watching us on any of the live streams or whether you're in the Zoom webinar, is you can interact with us through the comments, through the chats, through the likes. So go ahead and comment and let us know, like, if you have anything that, like, you're struggling with in your business, if you have anything that, like, has been a total curveball to your business that you would possibly like some insights into. We have an agenda of some things that we want to cover, but ultimately, like, if we never cover any of these things, we'll be totally okay, because what we want to be able to do is really help you guys with your business. So if you're on Zoom, you can use the Q&A, or you can use, you know, I would prefer you to use the Q&A over the chat. But and if you're on any of our social channels, you got to give us love. Like, we need to see the love that's coming from you through commenting, through sharing it with your community, or with liking it. And if you do all three, that's called the triple play, right? And so that's what we really like, is we like the triple play. And this is a lot more fun if we can actually get the interaction from you. Thanks, Tom. I appreciate you feeling the love and sharing the love back with us.
Hey, Tom. He and I were texting this morning too. What a small world.
And I think that when it comes down to it, like, we as a community can help each other. I think it's one of the really cool things that we've seen in this community, and we're able to do in this community, is help each other and push each other. Now, I got to ask, what's that behind you? It looks like it's Prince.
It is Prince. It is a drawing that says, "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called life." And it shows up in all my LinkedIn videos, because this is where I'm creating content, but it'll soon be showing up on YouTube and other platforms. We are, like you said, very involved in LinkedIn. We're going to start getting involved in other social channels and start pushing that. But LinkedIn's been incredible from a business development standpoint. And also, I find a lot of team members on LinkedIn.
And then is the other one a picture from one of your kids?
My daughter, yeah, she just decided to put that up there because
Yeah,
she
see,
wanted to
me
be
too.
seen.
I've
I
changed
saw
my
that
art.
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
so she put
Do you
that up
know,
there. Like, I'm just gonna put this here.
can some, well, yeah, I changed this out, but what I want, is I want somebody to guess. Um, I want somebody to guess what they think this is a picture of.
It looks
Okay.
like a
So
tree
don't,
to
if
me.
my, wait, don't answer just yet, Michael.
Okay,
Hold on.
okay.
Okay. But give everyone a good look at it and then guess.
I think I got it wrong. No, what could that possibly be? Got some good
Okay.
multiple
I'm
colors.
going to give a hint and say that it was drawn by a 10-year-old boy. Okay. So, that's your hint, and I'm going to put it up there, and Caroline will share with me if people are posting answers.
My 10-year-old boy.
I'm going to put
Yeah.
it this way: if anybody gets it right, I'll buy you lunch. How's that? So if
Oh,
anybody gets it right, let's see. Stacy says that it's wand spitting magic. Good guess. Or a tree. Micah says that it's Minecraft, which, I might have, I don't think it is Minecraft, but it could be used. It could be part of a game like that.
my daughter's a huge Roblox fan, so she plays that with her friends online all the time.
Yeah. And like, talk about crack for kids, right? Like, so I grew up in the 80s where Nancy Reagan said, taught us all to say no to drugs, and like
Yeah.
Fortnite, Roblox, all these things are totally like crack for kids because
Oh,
all
yeah.
they do is just they spend money on nothing. Literally, it's crazy. All right, let's get into some Amazon stuff because I know the community wants to kind of hear our opinion on a few things. One big thing that I've seen kind of bubble up this week, it's been a lot of conversation on LinkedIn, on Facebook, has been about some listings being suppressed. And so if you've had your listing suppressed recently, there doesn't seem to be any like hardcore, like direct answer as to what it is, but there seems to be a general consensus in the market that Amazon has changed their pixel resolution for images from 1,000 by 1,000 to 1,600, or 1,000 by 1,600. So not 1,600 by 1,600, but 1,000 by 1,600. And the reason for this is what they call the zoom feature. And that's the feature that when you roll over something, the image automatically zooms in. Now, if you're going to change your image sizes, my recommendation is make your images 2,000 by 2,000. Okay. So don't get hung up on what the minimum number is from Amazon because there is no maximum. And so, and this is something we shared earlier when it was 1,000 by 1,000. We said, don't do 1,000 by 1,000, go bigger than 1,000 by 1,000. So yeah. It seems to me like Amazon's changing their image sizes. I would have assumed they would have done this with a bigger announcement before they started suppressing listings or anything like that. But what I would do is I would resize my images to make them bigger, and go 2,000. Now Will is saying that he actually has his at 2,000 by 2,000 and he still got suppressed, and that it was an error in their system and it's taken 2 days to fix. And so Will, here's what's interesting. That's the conversation I had with my team internally is I was like, it's totally unlike Amazon to like start enforcing a new requirement like image size by suppressing listings.
Yeah.
Now, what you might have seen is that Amazon was testing an algorithm and it actually went live when it wasn't supposed to, which means that at some point in time they will. But I think that it's a good wake-up call if you're not at a 1,600 resolution or 1,600 pixel. It's not resolution, 1,600 pixel count, and to go bigger. So thanks, Will. I definitely had that thought as well. And in the world of Amazon, we often have we don't know.
So many times. I was seeing people talk about bugs on LinkedIn yesterday. And they're like, yeah, it's so crazy. And they said, if you think this is bad, I think it was like someone was tagging a person, and every time they'd edit a post or a comment, it would untag that person. And I'm like, you think that's bad? Look on the back end, the seller or the vendor side of Amazon, and there's constantly things that are changing, and either we're not informed about yet, or we haven't informed ourselves about yet. And it's difficult to keep up sometimes.
It is. And I think that, obviously one way to keep up is to follow people in the community, develop people that you trust. But the other thing that I tell people is focus on the things that you can control.
Yep.
And so obviously when your listing gets suppressed, you're going to freak out, and you should, right? Like you should consider that a high priority to get it back, but make sure you're focusing on what you can actually control. And so often, people are focused on things that they don't have control over. So I'm actually releasing a new piece that's going to come out next week. Caroline, we can drop kind of a teaser to the people on this webinar. We're developing a new campaign that's called Selling Declassified, right? And it's this whole concept that I've always had working here in the Amazon space, and that like, it's my job to kind of pull away the covers and help you understand not just what to do, but why you should do it. Because ultimately, one of the things that I say and I've shared, and I hope to get across in this piece that we're sharing, is that every one of you have to do different things in your business to make what we call money moves. And when you follow gurus, right? And we don't like to be called gurus, but we ultimately are gurus. We're knowledgeable about the space. When you follow people who are knowledgeable about the space, we share information with you, but that information may not be relevant to your business today. And so, Michael, you and I were talking about this a little bit before when we came on, and we were talking about like Amazon advertising metrics and how people just get totally hung up on the wrong metric because somebody told them there's a number. So when you're working with a client and a client comes to you and says, I need to hit a certain ACOS, how do you, I guess, ultimately, how do you react to that client? And then how do you kind of help them define a proper goal that will actually give them a money move?
So one of the things that I've been working on a lot is just the discovery process in general. Where I'm actively out there every week prospecting, looking for clients that we're able to serve and serve well. That's what Cartology's mission statement is, to serve. And so we serve people by helping them grow their brands on Amazon. But in that discovery process, I've had to do a lot more work because we've inevitably taken people on that maybe weren't a good fit for us because they're really focused on a single metric, or they're focused on one thing, and they end up being myopic. And when we tell them that we want to take a holistic approach, that doesn't sit well with them. So it's incumbent upon myself and anyone else who's talking to someone before we bring them on. Hey, what are your goals? What are your objectives? Why do you want to be on Amazon? Is this going to be a good fit? We're not the biggest service agency. That's not our goal either. Our goal is to provide excellent service and to really customize that service and strategy to people. But when someone says, hey, I want to hit a 20% ACOS, or anybody says that, even if it's not a client, my first question is why? Let me ask
this. Why do they want to hit it? But I want to ask the question of, why do you think sellers get hung up on a very myopic metric as opposed to taking a holistic look at their business? Is it because they're looking for somebody to give them a silver bullet to fix a problem they've never been able to fix? Or do you think they're just fixated on a number because they've heard the number bantered about?
I think it's probably a combination of both of those. And I think it's also a self-fulfilling prophecy. So people start talking about ACOS like it's important, and then people start muttering about it. And it's an easy metric to look at. and to also say, wow, we know that, we're always going to say a better return on ad spend is going to be desired over a lesser return. But what are the objectives of the business? If you're, so many people say, I want to grow, but profitably. And it's like, okay, well, then you want to grow very, very slowly. You don't want incredible, huge growth right away, because that's going to cost you and you're going to have to invest. So I think it's people that get caught up on a metric because someone's talking about it. And I've seen this so many times, but these screenshots of huge sales and tiny spend, and it's a 10% ACoS, and people put those out there like that's the benchmark. And again, my question is, why? Why is 10% the benchmark? What's your goal? Are you trying to grow? We have clients who run campaigns, or we intentionally run campaigns that are plus 100%, but it's with intent. We're not just aimlessly running a campaign. It could be a discovery campaign. It could be a myriad of things, but also like product price point plays an important role in that. What is the average CPC of the category? How long has your listing been up? Like all those things make a huge, huge difference. And I think it's easier, like you said, for them to be myopic and focus on ACoS, because it's a really good measure of how, I guess what people determine is how profitable are we, but that's not your only cost. And that cost is also should also why tacos is now a thing, should be considered into your total cost, because we know that the sales you get on advertising are going to impact your organic sales as well, your organic placement at least.
Yeah. So Tommy on LinkedIn was sharing that one of the metrics he likes to look at is clicks. And he says, if I don't get any sales after 10 to 15 clicks, I pause the keyword or lower the bid to a small amount. And he's sharing some of his strategies. And Tommy, I appreciate you sharing the strategies. And and it's funny because, Tom just shared, there's Tom and Tommy, different people, maybe not, just shared that a lot of agencies make crazy claims. And so let me like break it down for you, right? Like I actually listened to a podcast, and we can talk about podcasts later if that's something you're into. I want to look up the name of it because I don't want to get it wrong. And I listened to this podcast, and its name, it's called Everyone Hates Marketers. Okay. That's the name of the podcast. And what's funny is that it's a marketing podcast, right? And it's kind of the anti-hero, right? Like I'm going to bash us, so you're going to listen to me. And I think that when it comes down to it, as Tommy is sharing on LinkedIn, his strategy, it's easy to read that and go, well, that strategy doesn't work. Well, no, that strategy doesn't work unless you sell his product in his category with his profit goals. And so, Tom brings up a good point, which is that agencies make crazy claims, and like that's our job, right? Our job is marketers. So our job as marketers to catch your attention, and to grab you and to say, hey, I want that guy doing it for me. So ultimately for me, I always want to position Seller Labs in our agency. And I think you fit the same bill, as we're an intelligent company that's going to work with you to figure out what your goals are. And so what's more important for me, it's not as sexy from a marketing perspective, but what's more important to me is to say, I met this client's goals. But it doesn't look good if I send out an email and go, I met this client's goals, hit 65% ACoS. Because the market looks at it and goes, 65% ACoS, that's crazy. Well, yeah, but you didn't understand that 65% ACoS drove them from 4th position to 1st position. And by moving to 1st position, they picked up, organic sales, and their ACoS only represent 20% of their total sales. Therefore, their tacos is still 6%.
Right. That is so important to know all of the parameters that go into that advertising campaign. And it's so easy to just say, I think probably one of the other reasons why people focus on ACoS is because there are a lot of people in the Amazon space that are marketing themselves and their own personal brand to get you to buy into what they think, because they want you to think they've got some secret sauce. And I hate to break it to everybody. Well, I don't hate to break it to everyone, but there's no secret sauce. It is looking at the business and saying, what are your goals? Based on your goals, we think you should do X, Y, and Z. And one of the most important things to look at is data. There's a lot of talk about data in the space, data science, data management, all this kind of stuff. And I had an example of this happen to me this morning. I had a prospect I talked with earlier in the week, and they wanted to get a proposal from us. And so I said, great, we're going to put that together. I need some of these numbers from you. And I didn't get the numbers right away. So I followed up and I said, I need, past 6 months, I need to know all these numbers for the business, because we're going to create a forecast for you. So we're taking your data, and that's what we're doing with clients. We're taking your data and turning it into something that allows us to assess the market, see what's working for you, go back and then make smarter decisions. And this person said, how does you getting my numbers make your quote better, or help you align on what you're going to do? And I said, well, the whole thing is we want to see what your data is so we can accurately predict when we think you might reach profitability, or when you might hit a goal of tripling your sales. And if we don't have your data, it's just an estimate. So I don't want to come to you and say, I'm totally gonna triple your sales in 6 months, because I don't know if that's even possible.
Yeah. So Parker asked a really good question. Let's go down this path, right? Let's put on our everyone hates marketers hat.
Okay.
Right? So Parker says that people only share crazy results. And when people see those crazy results, they think it's the standard. So here's the question I have for you. If you were going to interview Stellar Labs to be your agency, or you were going to have Parker interview Cartology to be his agency, what should he be asking to figure out whether they're crazy results or they can actually be applied to his business?
That's such a great question. So I think one of the things I would say is, what's your advertising philosophy, just in general? And I think people on discovery calls share a lot more with you than they think they would if you ask open-ended questions. So what's your advertising philosophy? If someone starts going in and talking ACOS, 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 that to me is a red flag, because that's not the only driver of business or of success. If someone starts talking about tacos, and then they start talking about, getting greater growth and visibility, that's something that I would want to hear. And what I would also ask is, how does Amazon work? How does Amazon work? Because if someone's telling you, you got to get first position, and you got to do all these things, and you got to get the best choice badge, Amazon badge, and you got to get all these accolades that a lot of times you don't have control over, to me, that's a red flag, and it means you're focusing on the wrong stuff. Sometimes people talk about BSR as in, well, why don't you get a higher BSR? Well, a BSR could relate, a bestseller rating or ranking could get more sales, but there's no guarantee that moving from 1,000 to 500 is going to generate that much more sales. And it's not a guarantee of money anyway. So what are we tying? What metrics are
it's
we?
It's a metric to potentially show success, but it's not a metric that you should. Yeah, I think
you should think your business off of that. If you can get something from 200,000 up to 50,000, that means you have an idea of what you're doing, and you can grow something. And we use that in case studies, but it's not the only thing that we're factoring in.
Yeah. So Stellar Labs was one of the first in the industry to kind of pioneer the campaign assessment, right? The ability to look at somebody's campaign and assess it. And if you would like a campaign assessment, we'd be happy to do one for you. But I'm going to, and my team might get mad for me saying this. I could have my account and send my account to 7 different companies that do campaign assessments, and they will all find different things wrong with the account. And so one of the things that I see when people start to work with an agency is, I call them agency hoppers. They're expecting people to, they're expecting like the agency to like solve a problem in their business. And when that problem hasn't been solved in a short period of time, 3-5 months, they're like, you guys aren't any good. I'm moving on to go to somebody else.
Yep.
And yeah, Tom says agency hoppers, and he's laughing out loud.
I've had that happen to us several times. And that's why we have a minimum work requirement with people. We're not going to sign anybody to work with us for less than 6 months, because it takes time. And we also have to do enough discovery to know that someone's not going to sabotage themselves either.
Well, but that's what I was going to say. What I was going to say, what I was going to say is that when it comes down to it, those companies aren't successful. that company's success has nothing to do with advertising, because there's typically something else that's going on: inventory management, supply chain, product quality, listing optimization, finances, bookkeeping, profitability, right? I could go on and on and on and talk about all the things that impact your business. And so a lot of times people are looking for that to be an excuse. And I think it's critical that when you're looking at an agency, if you're choosing the route if you're choosing to go down the route of an agency to do any work for you, whether it's build a listing or do your bookkeeping or anything like that. One, you should always know how to do it yourself. You don't need to be an expert, but you got to be able to tell whether the person's full of shit or not.
Right.
Two, understand what your goals are. Don't let them set your goals for you. Maybe you need to work with them because you don't fully understand, but work with them to set your goals. So if you're collectively setting goals, and then judge them on the goals that you set. Because we have clients who come to us and they say, I want to lower my ACOS. And we go, we don't think that's the best path for you. And they go, well, you know what? But it's what I want to do. And we go, okay. And we lower their ACOS. And then they go, well, then this and this happened. And we're
I want more sales.
Right. Well, you can't have both. You can't lower your ACOS and have more sales. I'm going to change topics here. Spencer asked a good question on LinkedIn. So let's kind of go into that, which is like, what's coming in Q4? Now, I couldn't think of a more broad question to ask, Spencer. But I think it's a good one for us to kind of talk about here for a few minutes. So why don't you talk a little bit about kind of what are you anticipating for Q4? What's making you a little nervous for Q4? And maybe what should people be kind of thinking about?
One of the things that I know has been a buzz around the industry is the listing inventory restrictions due to the increased score of needing, at least a 500 IPI.
Yep.
Performance index. And so we've seen clients who, some people are saying it's a flat 200. Each product gets capped out at 200. And that's not what we're seeing. We're seeing that is happening on listings that have lower velocity or potentially accounts that have a lower IPI score in general. But we have clients who have great velocity of sales and the products have, limitations of thousands. So what I see potentially being an issue is a lot of people who don't know or understand how to manage inventory effectively. And there's a whole school of thought on inventory in general, not like just do we have enough inventory in stock, but there's someone who's very vocal on LinkedIn who talks a lot about inventory. Her name's Orion Avidian. I'm sure you've seen her talk about stuff, and she is an expert when it comes to inventory management. And some of the things that she knows are theories behind inventory management. A lot of people are just saying, well, just get 30 days in, just get 60 days in. But you really have to look at it again from a holistic perspective and think, okay, well, we can push for growth, but what if hypergrowth happens? Then we're in a scenario where we oversell, we run out of a product, and we don't have enough cash to get more inventory that we need. And so people want this growth, which I've heard some people call hockey stick growth, where it's just whoop, and it goes up really quickly, but you can't maintain that and you can't support that. What's better, I believe, is sustainable growth over time. If you can get hyper growth and then get an influx of cash, if you've got investors to provide more inventory, that's great, but you can't sustain that. So I think it comes down to what I'm most concerned about right now for people is, are they going to have enough inventory? Do they have a 3PL on hand to store inventory so it's not sitting over in a warehouse or in a manufacturer, potentially overseas, to keep their products on demand and then send enough product in? There's going to be a lot of people, I think, that go out of stock and don't potentially get stuff back in stock in time because of those limitations.
Yeah. So we didn't talk about this beforehand, but I think inventory and logistics is going to be the story of Q4.
Yeah.
And it's going to separate the men from the boys, or the women from the girls.
Yeah.
I won't keep going. When it comes down to it, the one thing we've seen with COVID And the one thing we've seen with IPI and the one thing we've seen with the pressure that's coming is that your ability to manage your supply chain and manage your inventory logistics is going to be the difference maker. And I'm going to share a blog post in the chat that was written by Casey. Casey used to be with Viral Launch. He's now with a company called Thrash.io. I highly respect Casey. He's sometimes a bit of an alarmist, okay, and he's kind of made his mark on being an alarmist. But from what I'm hearing from Casey and from others in the space, is that when it comes down to it, the ability to manage delivery of products is going to impact all of our businesses. So whether this is us, IPI score, getting products into Amazon and trying to figure out the right way for that to happen, or whether this is FedEx, UPS, USPS, and their ability to deliver products to our customers, this impact is coming. I talked to an Amazon seller the other day who ships mainly. Okay, so IPI is, so Jonathan's asking for us to explain acronyms. So as we use acronyms in the future, let's make sure we explain them. I talked to a seller yesterday who's on track to do over 10 million this year in sales, all merchant fulfilled. Okay, so that means the orders happen on Amazon. He does the shipping. He's gonna go over 10 million this year with merchant fulfilled. He told me that his FedEx driver told him that winter is coming, and that when it comes down to it, there's going to be a reckoning because there's not enough drivers. They can't scale up to the volume. There are going to be people who don't have pickups that have scheduled pickups, but don't have pickups. There are going to be people who deliveries are just delayed. And this isn't just the USPS around the election. This is coming from FedEx. This is coming from UPS. This is coming from USPS, because the volume of e-commerce sales that have occurred since COVID have accelerated the industry, and the transportation logistics in part of the industry behind it can't keep up.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you put Q4 into it, it's going to put a strain on the system. And Q2 had Q4 type numbers, right? Our customers on Xcart saw a 70% GMV growth, 70% GMV growth year over year for Q2. If you put a 70% GMV growth over Q4, how does the system handle it? So we need to, again, focus on what we can do, ensure that we have our systems in place. We have backup, we have inventory, we've got our stuff here in time, and basically get on the roller coaster and enjoy the ride.
I think if you don't have a 3PL here in the States and all your stuff is coming from overseas, China, Taiwan, India, wherever, now would be a time to connect with someone and say, hey, if we need to store stuff over here, can you ship to FBA or any fulfillment center quickly? How much can you store and how much is it going to cost? It's going to be better, I believe, to pay the cost of, pennies per unit or however much it costs to store something and keep it in the States so that you can quickly send it into Amazon, which I ultimately believe if you can prove that you've got better velocity in your products and you're managing your IPI, your inventory performance index score better, you'll get greater capacity. We already know Amazon was behind on capacity because of all the influx of, necessary goods or, essential goods.
Right.
But get a 3PL here. There's lots in the States, but find someone that can help you to store your goods because you're going to need to ship in quickly. And I wouldn't put it past Amazon to put in some other kind of limitation. This is not news. This is not something Amazon said, but I wouldn't be surprised if they said you weren't able to get more in time. And so we're going to have to cut your limitation back to 100 or something like that. Like that's always a possibility.
It's I don't think Amazon's going to change. I don't think you're going to see Amazon change the IPI again for Q4. But what I do think you'll see is that when you go to schedule your products into Amazon, it will take longer to get a delivery time, which is what we saw in Q2. And so I do think that that's where the backup will occur. And I agree, you have to have a merchant fulfilled backup response. And if you're not sure what that means, you can check out a company called ShipBob. I haven't looked at all the people online today, but I'm sure Nick is usually here. He hangs out at a lot of our sessions. ShipBob, or there's a company called Deliver. It's got a couple extra R's. And then another company we work with in some past videos that we have from Eddie Levine, called HubDub. Those are all potential places. And we've talked about this in past webinars. We've talked about this in past office hours, and it's like, wake up, gotta have this as part. So do you think, how are you advising your clients right now in terms of preparing for Prime Day? Amazon still has not officially announced Prime Day, but the unofficial, belief of Prime Day is that starting sometime in about early October, the first or second week, we're going to have Prime Day, Halloween, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Christmas rush.
Yeah.
So again, get on the roller coaster and let's go for a ride.
Ride it and enjoy it. When it comes to Prime Day, I see Prime Day as a way, again, it's not I don't see it as an opportunity to really increase your bottom line. And it may not even generate the type of sales growth that you want to see right away. I see it as an investment in the future of that product. The hope is you run enough of a sale on your product, you get enough velocity of sales on your product that it puts it higher in a higher position on a search results page, which in and of itself is not guaranteed. Being higher placed on page one isn't a guarantee that you're going to get more, sales. You can look at the brand analytics and see, okay, first place is getting 15% of conversions, second place is getting 10. But we've also done an analysis based on some of the data we've collected from clients and said, okay, based on this keyword, the first listing is getting about 60 sales a day. The last one is getting about 59. So if it's only one difference, moving up one, in theory, 1 unit difference, getting higher up in the page is not necessarily going to help. But I see Prime Day as a way to hopefully get that halo effect. So you get enough velocity, your product's more visible, it stays in the spotlight, and people keep buying it. That's what's behind all those launch strategies that people say, it doesn't cost any money in advertising, but it costs money when it comes to cost of goods. You're giving stuff away at a discounted amount, and that is still a cost of advertising, but you're building up velocity, you're getting it to the top of the page, and then from there you're able to keep your product there. So we're not really prepping people for Prime Day. If people want to do promotions and we bring that up to them and say, hey, we need to get something in line so we can submit it soon, we'll do that. But most of the people we're working with don't have the capital to give away 20,000 units or sell that amount of units. Even the ones that are well funded, they don't, and that's not even the direction that they want to go. And for me, I would say, would you rather sell more over Q4 or more on Prime Day and hope that you get greater visibility during that time?
Yeah. And I think what I would do is I'm just going to kind of recap some of our Prime Day suggestions that we've made. I think they still hold water, which in Prime Day, obviously in October is a lot different than Prime Day in July. Yep. Right. So Prime Day in July, you're trying to rev up a slow period of sales. And again, like based on your product, your category, you may not need that going into Q4, like you need that in July because of the slow time period. Here's my basic suggestion. I think that I recommend that if you have an external list, you run a Prime Day promotion. Even if that Prime Day promotion is 10, 15, 20% off, run a Prime Day promotion. You don't need to do an official Amazon Prime Day promotion, but there's going to be an increase in traffic on Amazon.
Yes.
And you want to increase your visibility because otherwise other people's sales go up and yours don't, and you actually drop. So use your external list as one of those. The other thing, and I'll call it a tactic, it's definitely not black hat in any way, is that what shoppers do, not just with Prime Day, but with actually like the whole holiday period, is they will start to find products today that they're interested in, and they'll start to put them in their cart. They might add them to a wish list, or they might actually add them to their cart. Then they go in on Prime Day and they want to see what's happened to the price on those products. And so you have an opportunity by changing your price or adding a discount on Prime Day to rise up in somebody's cart who's already had interest in your product and have them say, oh, now I want to go buy that. Now I want to go pull the trigger. Buyers don't want to buy on Prime Day if the product's not on sale.
Right.
So think about like your strategy and think about like the way you're going to handle it. Think about your budgets for advertising, because volume increases and all of those things start to occur, and you need to have a plan. And I think that's the ultimate part is don't go in with what I call a hope strategy. I hope I'll get more sales because it's Prime Day.
Yeah.
Go in with an actual promotional strategy. Run a coupon that's going to allow you to buy 2 of your products and save, 25%, or it's going to be a coupon, or it's going to be something like that.
Incentivize people that are on there to actually purchase the product that day.
Yeah, because they're looking for an incentive. And if you're not going to do any of that stuff, don't be shocked that like your sales didn't do anything.
And consider if you sell through too much on Prime Day, that could affect what you're able to supply through Black Friday and Cyber Monday.
That's I think that all just comes down to ultimately comes down to inventory management, right? And how well you do that.
Yeah, be huge. But I like what you said about creating a pricing strategy that at least offers 10%, 15%. This is not a hard science, but if I see something that's dropped a little bit in price that I'm interested in, it's definitely more of an incentive to purchase. And especially if it's on Prime Day, that makes a lot of sense. And so what I would say, I would agree with you. If anybody were going to run a promotion, run something to get more sales. But if you, like you said, don't go in hoping, I just hope it's going to happen. A lot of people hope that they're going to double their sales. And it's like, well, but what are you doing? Why do you want to double your sales? And how are you going to do that? And it's like, well, I don't know. I just hope that it does. And it's like, great. I hope I generate $1 million. I win the lottery, and that my wife's cool with a second wife. I don't know.
When I buy a lottery ticket, that's a hope strategy. Yep. I hope I win the lottery, and my kids know that if I win the lottery, well, I don't know if this is true COVID, but like pre-COVID, my kids know that if I win, you ever play that game? Like, what are you going to do if you win the lottery? My kids know if I win the lottery, there's a private airport about 15 minutes from my house. We will be there. We will be on a plane, and we will go to Disney World, because that's what everybody does when they win the Super Bowl. So that's what I'm going to do if I win the lottery.
It's actually a great time to go right now. I'm a huge Disney person, and so many people are not in Disney World because there's a lot of people there, and we know people that have gone, and it's like, we went on this ride 6 times and never had to get off because nobody's there. And it's a little bit cooler right now, so wearing a mask is like good timing. So
all right, before we go too off on a tangent, I want to get into video ads. You and I want to cover 2 more topics before we wrap up here. One of them is video ads. Amazon has video in general has become like the new infographic, right? So there used to be it used to be your photo, then it was your lifestyle image, then it was your infographic. Now it's your video. And I would almost venture to say video is a must for Amazon sellers. Mm-hmm. You can now, if you're not aware, all products can now have videos on their product listing. You don't even have to have brand registry. And you can also add videos lower on the page under what's called related videos, which start to show up on your competitors' pages, which is really awesome. And it's kind of like a way to kind of steal some shelf space from your competitors and protect your shelf space from competitors coming on your pages. So video ads are also a component, right? So now you can run video ads on Amazon. I'm curious how you've implemented video ads and kind of how they're impacting, or are they worth it? What are your thoughts on kind of video advertising?
I'm a big proponent of video in general. And I mean, like in any circumstance. So when it comes to prospecting people, I use video. When it comes to wanting to engage.
So let me ask this: how many people out there are using video? Type in any of the chats. Just type in the word video. Give a thumbs up. Throw some hearts. Something like that. Just curious how many people out there are using video. Yeah. Okay. So Stacy's in books, and books are a little bit harder with video. Let's see. Micah's using video. John's using video. Tom's using video. Some of the people on some of the social channels are using video. Okay, cool. So a lot of you guys are using video.
That's great
Um,
here.
yeah.
So
What's
video I think you're right. The video is essential. It's not if you want to be competitive, you have to utilize video. There's so many places to use it. So there's product pages. You said there's related videos. There's something called Amazon Posts. We've been using that with clients. I don't know if video is a capability yet.
do you find posts to be, I've been playing with posts. Do you find them to be useful? Like, I can't tell if they drive any sales or
It's too
where they
early, I
even go.
think, to really
Yeah,
tell.
I agree. We'll get into posts later. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole right now, but
hopefully video gets opened up there, but you can use them on your store
post is
page.
basically Amazon. Post is basically Amazon's version of like an Instagram feed, just so for people that aren't aware.
So I would say that video is definitely an essential. And one of the reasons why I think it's essential, just from a product listing standpoint, is especially as things go more mobile, there are a couple of components that people are looking at. And the things that show up most readily on a mobile page are your reviews, your price, and your images. And if people can scroll over and look at a video and watch that to know more about the product without having to read, that's so much more engaging. And I think it's going to add to a better conversion rate on the product, or potentially just more sales in general, because people can see that, especially compared to your competitors. One of the ways that we've been using video, however, is in the sponsored brands with video section, or the ads that have been available. I believe it's in an open beta right now. A lot of people should hopefully be able to get access to it. I know our agency has been able to get access to it based on reaching out to maybe an account, advertising account executive or something like that. But we've seen success with those. What's incredible about them is they're not sending people to a store page, which I like the store page concept, and it's great from a branding standpoint, but there is less of a call to action unless you're intentionally designing that on your store page, which I think you should anyway. Link everything to a product. So anywhere someone clicks, they go to a product, but you're sending someone directly to that product. They're seeing the video. Now they're seeing the video. They don't even have to scroll over. They're seeing that video, and it's taking them to the product with a call to action to purchase. We've seen that work well with branded keywords, our clients' own branded keywords. We've seen it work well in general categories. And so I'd say if you don't have a video, that's going to be a game changer for Q4 too. Get a video produced. There's plenty of people out there that can make a video. And if you can't record it, use some stills and put it together.
Yeah, I was gonna say we have some clients who wanted us to test video for them, and they went and just shot like 4 or 5 stills, put them together in iMovie with some free, some license free music, and like their sales are killing it. And then we have clients who are doing the sponsored brand videos like you discussed, and they do t-shirts, and literally the video is just the guy going.
It's crazy.
Just to give like a 360 of what the shirt looks like and how it sits on him, and how and their sales have taken off because it's engaging and it's giving people the ability to interact with your product. And if your product is more difficult, right? Meaning like your product isn't just something you can figure out what it is and it needs a little bit of explanation, this is your chance to explain it. So here's my I'll give a quick tip on video. If you have any, please add. If you're using video for other channels that have a website or a hashtag or any social, you got to take it off. Amazon will not allow it. It's got to be totally clean. But you can reuse video. I found a little trick on iMovie for how to like lay over and kind of hide some of those things. So something to kind of think about. The other trick for video is like, don't feel like you have to be a major production studio before you can do video. Just start doing it and start testing it and start trying it and see how it works for you.
That's called an MVP for people out there who don't know, a minimum viable product. Create something and test it. If you can see something, if you can see some kind of increase, even a 5% increase in your conversion rate, I mean, that's kind of a small increase, but if you can see some kind of increase from that video, then you know, okay, it might be worth it to spend $1,500, $3,000 on a video for a product or a line of products because we know it's going to help boost stuff. It's a great way to test. And I feel like one of the things we tell, I talk about on LinkedIn and I talk about anywhere else that I go is experiment with stuff. So many people are saying, we're going to bring your ACOS down to 20%. We've got the secret sauce. And it's like, you know what? A lot of times we're making educated guesses saying, we're seeing these numbers head in this direction. What if we tried this? We will test it. And if it doesn't work, if we don't get any evidence that says it works, okay, we'll scrap it. Maybe we'll try it for a different client in a different area, but use something and test it and experiment with it.
Yeah. So Caroline will repost this, but Jerry just shared that Animoto, which is a website for kind of making some animated videos, has a free plan or a $400 annual plan. So not super expensive if you need some type of software to help you. I don't know, Caroline, did we get anybody guess on my photo? Anybody guess? We're trying to guess what this is. I'll buy you lunch if you get it right. I might just buy lunch to whoever's closest.
It's a self-portrait.
It's a self-portrait. Yeah. You like it?
Yeah,
okay. We're going to come to it. We're going to come to it here in a minute. I'm going to give you the answer. I want to cover one more topic, which is I'd be remiss to not share this. Oh, cell phone tower and lighthouse are a couple suggestions. I like the suggestions. Buyer seller messaging. So Amazon came out with a big release on September 8th, announcing a impending update to the policy. It was a multi-page PDF that they made available. Amazon will be updating their buyer seller messaging policy, I think November 3rd.
Yeah.
Great for them to pick that date with new enforcement of the policy. Seller Labs did an in-depth article and full-blown webinar on this topic. So I'm not going to go into it in great detail, but I do want to share it with you and say that if you're not currently aware of the updates that are happening with buyer seller messaging, you should take a few minutes and read up on it, because I'm going to say two positives. Amazon came flat out in their policy and said you can use a service like Seller Labs, right? So they came flat out and said you can use third-party software. Two, they said you can ask for reviews. Okay, those are the positives. Now we need to follow the rules. So let's make sure that we're following the rules, and we've kind of outlined those rules for you, best practices, some recommendations and suggestions. And remember, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, we're your experts on buyer seller messaging. We've been able to take a lot of our questions directly to Amazon to get clarification, so we make sure that we give you guys the right answers. So go ahead and hit us up. It's very possible our customer success team says, I don't know that answer. Let me get that answer for you. And we'll probably do another webinar or office hours or something around buyer seller messaging in another week or two to make sure that we're getting everybody's questions answered. We want you to keep sending emails. We want you to keep getting reviews, and we want you to do it correctly. And so that's my PSA, if you will.
Your info has been super helpful for us as an agency because you're so connected. And that's one of the reasons why Cartology has, I believe, such a great relationship with Seller Labs, because you guys are so supportive of people. I mean, we obviously use Ignite, we use Scope, we use Feedback Genius, and you guys are so supportive, and your information is great. And so I've utilized that, and that prompted me to go to our customer success manager and say, our customer experience manager, and say, what are we doing? Are we in line with everything that's listed out here? So I would just say sign up for your mailing list too, so you guys get that kind of information.
Yeah, and I think that when it comes down to it, this information is constantly changing, and very similar to what we talked a little bit about with advertising. A lot of people are out there trying to claim that they know the right way to do it. I think if you followed me for any length of time, you'll know that I don't bullshit. I guess, sorry if there's kids around, but I don't. And we have built a reputation here at Seller Labs of being tried and true. We believe in following a process that builds a strong business foundation as opposed to getting quick sales. And so you will never get yourself in trouble by following my suggestions. But there are things you can do with any suggestion you get from anybody that you can alter and get yourself in trouble. And I think that's something very important. We talked a little bit, or maybe a lot today, about kind of hearing noise in the space, right? And noise in the space, whether it's about video ads, or whether it's about buyer seller messaging, or whether it's about image sizes, or whether it's about focusing on the right numbers. And it's really important for you, as sellers in this space, to understand what you're trying to do with your business, because we can tell you what we've done that's been successful with the people that we've worked with. We can tell you what's hot and trendy. We can tell you what business practices we've built into our business. But when it comes down to it, you have to figure out what you need to apply to your business. And that's what makes each business unique and different.
Yes.
And you can't just be reliant on following somebody else's philosophy.
That's so key. And I hope people who are tuning in are really taking that to heart. That's why when someone's selling you 5 tactics to immediately generate and double your revenue, there's no way that someone could actually know how to do that without looking at your data. There's no way. So you have to figure out what's going to work for your business, which is why a customized approach is what ultimately is going to help your business to be successful.
All right. So Michael, how can people find you if they want to kind of connect with you and chat, learn more?
Go to our website. It's thinkcartology.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn. Just look up Michael Maher and you'll see a face that looks like this for Cartology. So, I mean, follow me on there. I'm putting out content every single day. It's also talking about, being an entrepreneur, but also Amazon as well. And email me, michael@thinkcartology.com. Feel free to email me. I will answer your questions. I will get back to you. Part of what I love about Stellar Labs, and one of the reasons why we pair with you, is I very much believe in good information being out there. And so I'd rather give someone just a piece of advice or a little tidbit of information without charging them, but just for the good of the community, so that I know good information is going to be out there and someone's going to be successful, then say, I've got these hot takes and you need to pay me for them. Just reach out. I'm happy to be of service where I can.
Awesome. I'm really glad we were able to do this. We covered a lot today.
Yeah, we did.
We covered buyer seller messaging and the updates that are occurring there. We covered video ads and post and the importance of those in your business. We covered IPI. The inventory performance index, and its potential impact on Q4. We covered Prince and why it's in your background, and we covered this picture and why my kid drew it.
You just pulled that out of nowhere. That was great.
You like that?
Yeah.
So this from a 10-year-old's mind is Thor's hammer.
Oh, it looked kind of like an axe or like a pickaxe.
Yeah. That's why I kind of said on Minecraft, I was like, Minecraft could be like, if I had to pick like the closest, but I think like if it had like maybe a black outline here, it might like show a bit more, but this is Thor's hammer. But if you haven't seen my old one, hold on.
Thank you, Caroline, for putting my information out there.
This is the old one that I used to have up there. This was 2 little characters that he developed, and he called them Fire versus Water.
Oh, that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah,
that could be a show on Cartoon Network.
Yeah, so I'm keeping all these. I keep these up, and then I keep them in the corner of my office. And when he's older, I'll show him all the great artwork that he created. So. Everybody have a great day. Everybody have a very happy holiday weekend if you are celebrating the Jewish New Year this weekend. And we will catch up with everybody very shortly. Thank you.
Take care, everyone.